Greetings, friends. It's Coleraine or Coleraine Tarot here on YouTube. My pronouns are they, them, and I am so grateful to be reading for you, for the collective who finds this video today. I'm going to be channeling some messages from your spirit guides focused on slowing down, recentering, and resetting for this winter solstice season. I am currently filming this right before the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere of 2025. So if you are watching this in a timely manner, then this is the context. I'm also filming this right at the new moon in Sagittarius. And I decided to film it at this point where this energy is heightened in this Sagittarian constellation, for the sole purpose of bringing us closer to redefining our beliefs, going into new philosophical explorations for this new year, and being able to set true intentions for this new year ahead, what we'd like to manifest, because this next year in the lunar calendar is the year of the horse, and so this is going to be a powerful year utilizing this new moon in Sagittarius, which is connected to the energy of the horse, to help us to burst forward with some new energy, some new insight, and be able to gain some stamina again in our lives, where we may have been feeling a little bit discouraged, or like we are, having to, like in this last year, which was the year of the snake, that we're in that tail end of, no pun intended, but in this year of the snake, we've been really focused on letting go and releasing. So if that has been making you feel a little triggered, a little activated, and like, ready for something new, then this is a beautiful reading to help you to slow down, go within, and introspect during this time of darkness. I will say that this is a timeless reading, however, so if you are finding this at a time where it's not the solstice and it's not the new moon, please do not feel discouraged. This is a great reading for any time in your life where you feel like you're in some type of a dark night, where you are, turning within and reflecting, releasing, and just needing time to slow down and connect with yourself. So if that resonates with you, then this is the reading for you, and hopefully one of these groups down here will have some messages that resonate with you at the time that you find this reading. So group 1 over here has this beautiful little desert rose selenite. Group 2 has a beautiful little oak acorn. And group 3 has this Kambaba jasper. So if you already know which pile that you feel drawn to, which group that you feel connected with, then you can head to the timestamp in the description down below. Otherwise, you can pause the video here, take another few moments to meditate and get yourself centered, and I will see you in your group. Greetings, group 1. If you selected this first group with the desert rose selenite, this is your message for slowing down, turning within, and of course, riding that sacred spiral like this time of the year that I'm filming this is meant for. So again, if you skip the intro, no worries. This is definitely a timeless reading. So whatever point that you're finding this and you are feeling like it is time for you to be turning within, maybe connecting more with the darkness, with your shadow, or just with the energy of stillness, then this is your reading. So right away when I tapped into the energy of this collective, there is a sense of heaviness, or feeling like you're carrying too much, and like there is a lot on your plate and you have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of decisions that need to be made. And so that is why the stillness actually, I feel like, is calling to you. So Your guides are first saying like that they're really glad that you finally made it here. For this reading, because I feel like they've been trying to get your attention for a long time, to get you to recognize that you need some stillness, and that the world will keep turning if, like I'm hearing indeed, if you take the time that you need to pause. For some of you, this feels like there is a partner in your life, or this could be like a business partner or a family member who is in your, like an equal in some way to you, with the King of Tides and the Queen of Spires here. And it feels like this partner, this person who should be matching your energy in some ways, has kind of been ebbing and flowing with this King of Tides energy, because I do feel like the majority of you are going to resonate more with that Queen of Spires energy, where it's, this person who is sitting up near this nest. There's a lot of thorns. They're seeing the other birds flying off. So it feels like there may be some sense of like sacrifice, where you've been sacrificing some of your own freedom, your own joy, the things that light you up, the things that bring you enjoyment in your life. It feels like these things have been put on the back burner, and you've just been kind of like watching everyone else living their lives in the way that you would like to, maybe feeling a little bit of like FOMO, or just like you're maybe like missing out, or like life is passing you by. For some of you, it feels like this has been happening for at least a year now. And for others of you, this feels like something that has been happening at least the last few months. And so it feels like it's something that's like more of a prolonged experience, because you have here the burden and communication with mountains, stand your ground, holding it all together in the center. And the fact that the Queen of Spires is also at the top of the mountain, the King of Tides is also elevated and looking over the ocean. It feels like maybe if this is not another person in your life, there's a part of your own masculine energy that is kind of intimidated by wanting to go deeper or communicate the deeper aspects of your unconscious that would maybe be represented by the oceanic energy. If it is a person in your life, it feels like maybe this person is facing their own inner, like unconscious experiences, and they are unable to address them fully. And so it is putting a strain on you, because they're acting out these unconscious needs without communicating them properly to you. And even like the symbol on this communication card is like this little spiral, almost like a well. And so it feels like there's a deeper emotion that needs to be tapped regarding the masculine aspect of this situation, where we're like needing to go into the why, or the emotion that's driving the actions that are being taken, or the feeling of a sense of self in a situation. Like there needs to be like a deeper level that is being explored for you. And also I feel like if this does have to do with another person, it's like standing your ground and recognizing that yes, everybody has their own truth, everybody has their own perspective, but at the end of the day, everybody's entitled to that truth and what that means for them and how they want to create relationships from that, including you. Like you also have the right to do that. And so with the mountain too, it also represents that there is kind of a bigger test or a bigger journey that's related to this moment of slowing down for you. And the mountain is representing that this is something that is going to take a lot of energy and a lot of time to overcome and to reach that peak. But it feels like you've been camping out on the peak for a while. you've actually maybe reached the point where you're overseeing the situation, but you've been taking residence in this cave on the mountaintop, amongst these uncomfortable branches in some ways. And if you're not like necessarily super comfortable in your feminine energy, I do feel like that might be something that's the case for all of you, whether you recognize it or not. There's something here where you're hiding within this feminine wounding, to almost like separate yourself from a situation and keep yourself in this kind of mindset of burden, or like not seeing your way out of a burden. There may be like a third eye chakra like blockage in some ways, where like your creative energy has been exploited, it feels, so you're unable to appreciate the sacredness of that. Because no matter what your gender or your sex or how you feel about this, feminine energy is like responsible for our ability to create and our ability to give to the world, and our ability to take in information, process it, and then, you know, alchemize it and give it new life. And so there is definitely just this sense that like the creative energy in your life has become a burden. And I do think too, besides the third eye chakra being something that has potentially been blocked so that you can't see your way forward, I feel like that blockage is starting down in the root, because there's like maybe a belief system that is like, you know, I have to work in a certain way, I have to have this certain attitude about work or about my stability. Like it's different for all of you, and it's kind of shifting even as I'm channeling it, but it feels like there is just a belief about your stability, your security, and what can keep you safe that is preventing you from having a more honest and open communication with the world around you, and being able to like express your needs essentially. And it feels like it almost feels like tapping into this king of tides within yourself, this masculine energy that can overlook and not get lost in the depths of the emotions, is kind of a good energy for you to have, so that you can almost oversee the emotional state that you're in and have a clearer understanding of what that emotional state is trying to tell you about where you belong. Because that's really what the mountain represents, is like finding our place in the world, finding a journey that gives us a sense of meaning. And so it feels like there's something that you've been going through where you're losing touch with like what the peak of that mountain means, what the goal or what the meaning is in your life. And so there's definitely a sense that like when you take the time to slow down and actually turn within, there's going to be an understanding of what this burden is that's keeping you from creating and keeping you from recognizing and being in your power fully. I hope that this makes sense so far. So I have a few other oracle cards and tarot cards, so we're going to start flipping those over and seeing what else is going on in this energy for you, group one. So you have the Eight of Stones with the word skill, and the Five of Vessels with the word ecstasy. And it's interesting, like I feel like for some reason, just because this king and this queen came out, it feels like this is like the masculine side of the reading, this is the feminine side of the reading. So maybe for you it's important to like in this stillness, in this turning within, to reconnect with both your masculine and feminine energies. And be a little bit more deeply in tune with like the light and the shadow attributes of those. I believe I have a really, really old reading on the masculine and feminine within you, but I'm sure that there are so many other talented and beautiful readers on YouTube that have these type of readings on their channels. So maybe looking into that, or looking into Tantra in general. Sorry, I'm gonna just help my candle out here a little bit so that it'll keep burning. Okay. But yeah, so yeah, it almost feels like there's something that you need to do to reinvigorate your fire a little bit. Here, let me move some stuff around a little bit. But yeah, there's just a sense of like taking stock of where you're at. With the Eight of Stones skill, this is also like seeing what efforts that you've actually been putting in. What have you been trying to communicate? What have been your efforts to connect with others around you so far? Okay, I had to fix the flame of the candle, but we're back. So yeah, there's something about assessing the efforts that you have been putting in on the masculine side, seeing where or what has been actually motivating your efforts. Because there's a thing where I feel like group one, you're so skilled, you're so talented, you have so many things that you can offer, but it's almost like you've just been getting drained because you are so skilled. It's like people see this, they recognize the beauty of what you have to offer, and I feel like a lot of people around you have just been kind of taking advantage of that in some ways. And so it really feels like it's time for you to tap more into this feminine and feed this feminine energy that you may have been neglecting with this Five of Vessels ecstasy over the burden and the Queen of Spires. It feels like there's some type of heartache, some type of disconnection that you've been feeling with your environment, with the people around you in some ways. And with the Five of Vessels, this is going to give you the chance to mourn and to actually because they're standing on this pentacle and dancing, and it feels like this is like channeling and moving energy through your body. So part of this stillness I feel for you is actually going to be inviting intentional movement into the body, and especially this can be through dance, through physical like chanting, ritual, rhythm, anything like that. I just really feel like that's going to be helpful for this moment of stillness where you're not progressing forward in any projects, in any relationships, but you are progressing forward in terms of reconnecting with what ecstasy means to you. What does it mean to you to feel connected to the joy of your movement, of your reality, of being a co-creator, of being in this energy, of being able to accept, to receive energy from the outside world? Because I feel like your receptive qualities of the feminine have been kind of overburdened because they're not being protected by the masculine side. It's just like you've been showing off what you can do, but not checking in with yourself about like, do you feel like you want to do this? Do you feel like you have the capacity to do this? Do you feel like this is something that lights joy in your life, or is it just something that you know you simply can do? And so if you are, or if you were resonating with the message that I started with around like a partner or somebody else in your life who's supposed to be like matching your energy, it may be that part of you feels like you're longing for like sweeter times in the relationship or in the connection, regardless of what type of connection this is. You're longing for maybe the beginning of the relationship or earlier days when maybe this person had more capacity to help you. And so it feels like there's something where you want to return to this energy of feeling like you're carefree, like you're having fun, like your enjoyment is prioritized as well. And if that's not about a relationship, then it's definitely talking about uniting these parts in you, or reuniting these parts in you where you felt like your work, or for a lot of you, I really do feel like this has to do with work. But if you are like taking care of kids or taking care of yourself or something, and this is not necessarily about that aspect of life. This is talking about like reuniting the parts of yourself for a time when you did feel more in tune with yourself and you felt like you were understanding your needs and your boundaries as they related to the world around you and what was being asked of you as well. And you felt like you were more harmonious and flowing with the world around you as well. So let's go a little deeper. You have the card of manifest coming out. Definitely more of this like root chakra, sacral energy, and you have that coming out here on the beloved with radical acceptance. And we have one more of these cards with the serpent, knowledge and healing. So I'm going to pause here. It's interesting because I have a painting up right now that has serpents, and I kept looking at the serpents in the hand of this like divine being. Okay, sorry, I had to pause, and I don't know exactly what I was saying before I paused because my candle kept like unigniting, so that was not gonna fly. I need all my fire energy. So I don't know if that's like you feel like you've been like relighting your flame over and over, and then it keeps like spurting out. But I definitely feel like it is connected to this reading in some way and the energy that you've been in group one. So yeah, this is definitely a time to like let yourself darken, to let yourself imagine so that you can manifest, so that you can know that you're able to ask for the universe to bring something to you. This is an acknowledgement that you are skilled, that you do have so much creative capacity, but you've been sending your energy into these places that are draining. The serpent with knowledge and healing, it represents our kundalini, our life force energy that is coming down from that base of the spine, that root chakra place, rising up through the sacral. And I feel like that might be where actually your primary blockage is, not in the root, it might be in the sacral, because this is the place of emotional healing, of knowing ourselves, of knowing our creative power. And so there's a sense of maybe not fully knowing the capacity of your creative power in that space. And so the knowledge that the serpent provides is actually the knowledge of our innate spiritual and creative energy. And there may be some, I'm sensing from a lot of you, some kind of like religious or spiritual trauma that has told you that your spiritual energy, your creative energy, your sexual energy, all these different aspects of yourself, your feminine energy even, for some of you, it has to do with your ancestral energy, like it has been demonized in some way or belittled or shamed. And so there's a sense of like having to rise back into that and validate through rest, validate through stillness, these aspects that are maybe not characterized as productive, but they are spiritually powerful. With the manifest, this is also about like allowing yourself to go back into your magic so that like you can create this ecstasy in your life. And that is really what transmutes energy in our lives and gives us the creative power. Any energy that we're given, whether positive or negative, should be able to overcome that feeling of being drained because it is fuel. It gives us something to either transmute, work through, reflect on. So there's something here about like taking the energy that you've been given and turning it into something through radical acceptance over here with the beloved. This is about falling back in love with yourself, falling back in love with the people around you, falling back in love with your life. And the only way you can do that is through stillness, reflection, and also recognition of the ways that your power has been stripped from you. And you've been maybe duped into thinking that certain aspects of you are demonic, or they are unacceptable or shameful and all these different things. Because I'm really seeing with this serpent here too, this is like that distorted creation narrative that we're given from some interpretations of Abrahamic creation myths where the serpent is seen as this feminine power and therefore is then called like the devil, and knowledge is turned into an unwise thing or this unholy thing. But there's much more of a spectrum of experience, and I'm not going to completely like reinterpret that story right here, that's not the point, but there is an aspect of like your own power and your own sacred energy that has been corrupted in some ways through a distortion of what you know, so that you can't heal. It's like that's the real insidious aspect of some of these like narratives that create these sacral chakra blockages, is that they actually distort our view of these sacred symbols. They distort our views of ourselves. And so when we even start going through this reclamation process, which begins with unveiling these untruths, we are immediately filled with shame because the act of unveiling this untruth triggers within us this feeling of guilt over knowing the truth, over seeking the truth, over being able to contain knowledge and awareness. And that's part of what that narrative and that myth has been distorted to represent, because when knowledge of something or awareness of something is then cast into the category of evil, then our awareness is also somewhat shame-inducing. So there's an aspect here where it's like through this process, you are uniting these two parts of yourself so that you can manifest, so that you can come back into that creator energy and recognize that the creator of the universe radically accepts you and loves all aspects of yourself and wants you to be able to take care of yourself, wants you to be able to validate the truths that you see in your life. Because a lot of you, I feel like this sacral blockage leads to that throat blockage, so you don't feel like you are valid enough to communicate or to share what you actually see with your own two eyes, what you feel with your own body. And so this is like a process of reclaiming the body, reclaiming your sensitivity as well, through getting in touch with your truth over and over so that you can manifest creatively. There's like a lot of processes that happen once you get into recognizing who you truly are and being able to validate both positive and negative aspects of yourselves or of yourself. And that is really what like the masculine and feminine is. These are also positive and negative polarities within us that aren't moralistically defined. They're just, aspects that keep things in harmony, that keep things in balance. And that's really what the serpent is also talking about. It's talking about that deeper spiritual knowledge that goes beyond those binaries and helps us to stay grounded, stay connected to the earth, and stay connected to the power that we hold and discern how we can use that power in this life. So you have 3 animal cards that came out. I'm not going to take reversals since they are an oracle, and then we will close your message for today. But you have the fox with patience and harmony, the owl with caution and wisdom, and the toad with cleansing and transformation. So definitely this is a time of, I'm seeing like the frog prince, like you gotta kiss some toads sometimes before you kiss the frog that'll transform into your prince or whatever. And that's kind of like cliche and maybe not everybody's looking for that, but there is this aspect of like digging through all the aspects in your life and relationships in your life and commitments that you've made in your life that feel like they're draining your energy, or like they're maybe giving you promises that tell you or promise you like what you want or what they think you want to hear, but it's not fulfilling, it's not manifesting, it's not turning into something that is fulfilling now, and you don't see any potential in the future for things to move in a direction that would be more fulfilling for you. So there's a sense of like cleansing and transforming a lot of these energies in your life, where you need to speak up for yourself. You need to communicate how something's really making you feel. And even through this energy, I feel like, or through the energy of this reading, I feel like I have physically moved from feeling your tiredness, feeling your drain, feeling this sense of like, people aren't collaborating with me, I'm not being met where I'm at, to now there's like an empowered energy. Like I was also having some like kind of blockages in the throat chakra that I was feeling, and now I'm feeling like a strong and clear and confident voice coming through, like it's resonating from deep within like my body. And so it feels like there's a sense of, once you start getting connected into your body and recognizing what makes you actually happy, you're going to start using this discernment and this wisdom that is within that unified part of yourself to be able to see through and recognize where you're actually being led and where you actually need to be through accepting yourself and recognizing your power as well. And with the fox here, patience and harmony, this is a recognition that through this process, through this slowing down, through this time that you're taking to connect these parts of yourself, through these moments of finding your joy and recognizing what actually fills you up, you're also going to be creating connections and finding the people in your life and the relationships in your life that actually have enough patience to connect with you on that deeper level. And I just saw 555 on the timer. So there's this aspect of deep change that's happening in your relationships that's going to support you on being a lot more, again, just that word discerning comes up. So there's something about like being able to recognize what is actually in support of you and what is kind of working against you or working behind your back in your life, and giving you that like wisdom that only comes from having been exposed to things that are more negative or draining, or things that, they, what's the phrase? They clarify your vision. Oh, it's like on the tip of my tongue. Maybe if you know the phrase, you can comment it down below. But there's something, it's like some things that will fix your vision but hurt your heart or something. I don't know. But yeah, it is giving you like a deeper ability to see through some of the manipulations that people may want to cast to make things look a certain way, when that's not really the case. So yeah, I think that is all I'm seeing for you, my beautiful group one. Thank you so very much for being here, for doing this work for yourself, for taking time to slow down and turn within during this season. On behalf of the collective, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is so necessary. And I'm so, so grateful and honored that I was able to channel these beautiful messages for you today. If you are interested in a personal reading or looking more into my work in general, I would love to see you and have you connect with me on Instagram or through my website down below. I will see you in another video, my friend. Bye. Greetings, group 2. If you selected this second group, then this is your reading. Just cleansing your space a little bit after I pulled your cards. And we're going to get right into your reading. So group 2, I already feel just such a high vibrational energy. I wouldn't be surprised if this group is very connected to a spiritual practice or you practice a lot of spiritual hygiene. Yeah, it just feels like you are very in tune with your spirit and the spirits that walk with you as well. And it also feels like this time of rest, I'm hearing, is well deserved. And I don't know if I totally resonate with the concept of being deserving of rest, because I think we all innately need this rest. This is like a right that we have to experience in this lifetime. But I digress. This is not a time to fully philosophize, but it is important, because I do feel like there's an aspect where, with the moon card centering your reading, you are meant to, during this time period, go within and give yourself the room to kind of philosophize, to traverse some psychic spaces, with the shaman showing up here, trust in higher forces. And it's interesting that I didn't even read this when I was laying the cards out, but the whole time I was shuffling your cards, I was hearing the song Higher Place. I think it's by Skip Marley, one of Bob Marley's kids. Sorry if it's someone else, but yeah, I'll have that song linked down below for you, group 2, because I was just hearing that song so strongly, like playing over and over. Take me to a higher place. I'm gonna run to a higher plane. There's nowhere else to go. Light the way. Pack it up and run. I'm on my way. I'm not singing it really all that well in the tune, but that's definitely the song that I'm hearing for you if you haven't heard that song. So there's something about like you traversing, we might call it the astral realm, the Akashic realm, going deeper within your psychic abilities, your ability to walk the hedge in some ways, because of this trust in higher forces, and with that song Higher Place coming out too. So there's a sense of recognizing, and through that journey, going within to meet your higher self, to meet this aspect of self that is more rooted and grounded in the soul, And this may be, if you practice the Orisha, this may be your Ori. This may be in other traditions, like I said, your higher self. But it may also be, I'm trying to think if there's another concept of this in other traditions that's standing out to me. Even, I guess I'm thinking in other like Native American shamanic pathways, there's the aspect of like animal spirits and guides and things like this that are attached to your soul expression. There's just something here about like finding these symbols and this symbolic existence for yourself, with the Six of Vessels reunion here and these little otters coming up to the water, and it's still. Again, this reading is all about stillness and slowing down, and what Spirit would like to bring to your attention in the realm of understanding who you are, where you are, and why you are. And so with this stilling of the water, with this recognition of the phases of the moon, there's going to be, like I'm seeing these shadows being cast long. Like there's an aspect of seeing how long your shadow goes and how deep those roots may go. And so there's something about like reconnecting with the depths. With the shaman card too, there's an aspect of like the shaman goes into the deep world. They don't just hedge walk into, like, yes, it says higher forces, but there's an aspect of not just ascending spiritually or being in this elevated place that can sometimes be ungrounded. And maybe for some of you, you've been feeling quite ungrounded. In Ayurveda, there are signs for this, excess vata. So you may be experiencing, excess daydreaming, being late to things, being scatterbrained, having excessive chatter, like speaking too much when you're out and talking with people and feeling like you've, just been talking and talking and talking, or your mind has just been running and running and running. And another aspect of that can also be like dry skin, dry nails, dry hair, dry everything, like internally and externally. You just feel like you're drying out. And especially if you're watching this in a timely manner, the fall to winter time is the season of Vata. So Vata means air. If you're interested, go and look into Ayurveda if that is something that resonates. But I'm just feeling like for this group, that concept of space, that concept of air is really important for you right now, so that you can counterbalance it with hydration, with journeying deep, with rooting, with grounding, even just sticking your hands on the earth, because you have Earth Mother here to feel loved and comforted. The moon is our like representation of Soma, which Soma is the principle of the universe that counters ungroundedness from the beauty and the expansiveness of that air element and that Vata elevation. So definitely working with the goddess to begin with would be amazing for you. Working with plants and herbs, and even this Earth Mother has the crescent moon on her forehead. So when you take that time to slow down, to nourish, to hydrate, to restore your body, there is going to be a sense of you actually being able to access the wisdom and cross through onto the other side and grow in your psychic abilities in a way that you haven't been able to without this process of deeply going in and hydrating and surrendering to the processes of the body. I am seeing too right now that these bells are on the shaman's head, and bells do represent the element of air. You may want to use a bell around your altar space or in your home to cleanse it with sound. I feel like that would be a great way to begin this grounding and hydration aspect, by using the element of air, using the element of space to then still everything else. You may even, like I have this sound bowl right here, I'll show you, that I used at the beginning of your reading. But this sound bowl, you can kind of see I have a line on the inside because I used to put water in here and then vibrate the water. So that may be a good way to connect your air energy to the water, which will help ground you. But yeah, putting your hands on the earth, doing things like rubbing oils on you. Definitely, please go and look into Ayurveda and how to fix Vata imbalance. I just really get the sense from y'all that there is a bit of a Vata imbalance, especially if you do a lot of psychic work. It just feels like it's something that needs your attention right now, is that ability to go in and tend to these needs for hydration, and that can be on a metaphorical level and a literal level. And with the Earth Mother here too, if you are a literal mother, or you just have like maybe a womb space, or you feel like your metaphorical womb, if you don't really have a womb, like in the physical sense, needs some of your nurturing care. There's just something about like being in the womb space, or connecting with that idea of like being in the dark, soft, wet, squishy, caring, warm space of that little dark womb space, like the moon creates as well. And even like working with the cycles of the moon, I feel like would be a good thing to develop while you're in this state of stillness, of going within. Let's see. You also have the Three of Vessels joy over here, which I haven't touched on. So 6 of Vessels and 3 of Vessels, you have only like water energy really coming out too. So definitely this time of turning within, of surrendering, is definitely to get you to focus on being nurtured and nurturing, and allowing yourself to, like the ivies standing out to me, like vine yourself, and really like grow into the spaces that you've already been nurturing. Give yourself a little bit more. I'm almost seeing like those, what are they called? They're the Diwali candles. Are they called dupe? No, those are incense cones. It's something close to that. I'm so sorry. Forgive me for forgetting. I just don't personally use them. But they're these little oil wells that you burn the oil on them. But that might be something. Again, these are all very like Ayurvedic, yogic, Vedantic practices. So maybe that resonates for you, but there's something about like burning the oil, like refilling your own oil vessel in some way. So definitely I feel like if you haven't been hydrating your body, hydrating yourself from the inside out, this is a really strong practice that's coming forward for you right now. And with the moon too, there's another aspect of hydration which is coming through that I haven't touched on. And this feels like the hydration of the spirit. And this hydration of the spirit is going to come from meditation, from stillness, from soma building practices. And soma building practices are going to be, yogic flows or yoga practices that are more in the vein of yin or restorative. These practices that are focusing on getting you to slow down, to be still. And if you have this like kind of expansive capacity to journey onto the other side, you may have to actively try when you are in meditation to not step over onto the other side and receive information. So for a lot of you, this is intentionally cutting off certain spiritual doors, closing those doors, cutting off those channels of receptivity so that you can give your psychic senses a bit of a break, so that you can hydrate yourself psychically. With the moon, it's like discerning and recognizing that we need the dark phase just as much as we need the full moon phase. And the Earth Mother recognizes that too. Like there are often these depictions of her in this very like fertile pregnant state, but there are these aspects of the Earth Mother that are more accurate to her, where she's in these phases of life as well. She's not always this like robustly pregnant creature. The earth herself, like when I'm filming this right now, the earth is in her most dormant state at the winter solstice. She's heading into this period of complete release and surrender and death, because I really feel like personally following the winter solstice, is the time where it is the coldest, where things are the most dormant, where there is this release in the broadest sense before we reach Imbolc, which is going to be, well, in the Gaelic calendar, that's going to be that point of, okay, now we're setting the intention and sowing the seeds because we're anticipating the warmth to return. But in this time period for the next, 6 weeks at least, there's going to be a deep internal stillness. And so the Earth Mother is also representative of these cycles, and that's why she's so deeply associated with the moon. And this goddess energy is totally associated with that, because the moon is reflecting this light in her darkness, in her phases, and reminding her that, hey, we do have to keep continuously turning within and rehydrating ourselves, reconnecting with that water aspect. So that we can have that broad perspective and be able to journey into the other realms and reunite. So for some of you too, there's like some grief potentially, or something about reunion with spirits that have passed on, that you are able to bring in. Maybe some fears, you're reuniting with some deeper shadow aspects of yourself, and so this is part of this turning within and this stillness. And with joy here as well, the Three of Vessels, it's like maybe there is a literal reunion with some friends, with some family members, with some parts of yourself that maybe you have maybe not forgotten about, but you've been putting on the back burner, or you haven't given yourself the chance to explore them as much. And I feel like for some of you, since it's over here by this Earth Mother, that's maybe things like gardening or things that would make you feel fertile or creative. And that can even be the ways that you are meant to nurture and nourish yourself, because there's something about nurturing and nourishing that is really important, feeding yourself good foods. Maybe you've gotten disconnected from your favorite recipes. I just had this happen, actually. I'll recommend it because I feel like this would totally go with what I've been talking about with hydrating Vata energy. And after that, I will start pulling your oracle cards. But I just made some edamame the other night, and I was like, oh my gosh, why haven't I made this? It's so easy. And I used to make this all the time, and it makes me feel so nourished and hydrated, because you put a lot of butter onto the edamame. I use shelled edamame, and you boil it, and then you put the butter on it, and I put some garlic and paprika and other things in there to season it. But definitely, and miso. And I just recommend that because eating, in Ayurveda, eating ghee or eating butter is a really great way to hydrate if you are Vata and you need that extra, kind of oily, easy to digest, hydrating food within you. So that might be something that you can do too. So let's get into your oracle messages. We have quite a few. So at the center is hope. You have caterpillar, opportunity, and perfect storm, the courage to step into life. And then you have the spider and the horse. So right away, I'm seeing that the year of the horse, the Lunar New Year, is going to be major for you. And this might actually be more major for you than the January 1st New Year, the Gregorian New Year. So for a lot of you, I feel like you're very in touch with your ancestors and your spirits, and they're wanting to give you the indication that exactly what I'm talking about. The Lunar New Year happens around Imbolc in the Gaelic calendar. So regardless of your ancestry, regardless of what you practice, there's a sense of being more on the lunar calendar, especially with the moon coming out at the center. And so for you, this lunar calendar reset of the year of the horse that's upcoming, it's going to be very important for you. And this is coming out as accepting help from another and delegating authority. So for a lot of you, you're going to be giving over a lot more autonomy that you may have once felt like you had to spirit to be leading you and guiding you within the next year. And these can be part of the intentions that you're setting while you're going within and nourishing yourself in the next few weeks, if you are watching this in a timely manner. If not, that's totally okay. This is a timeless reading still. And I just want to clarify that if you are resonating with a time period where you are leading up to accepting this kind of horse-like energy, there's going to be an aspect of maybe this is up to the next, like let's say if you're watching this around the new moon, it would be the next new moon, like just one lunation, or if you're watching this around the full moon, it would be approaching the next full moon, or whatever moon cycle you're at, going to the next moon cycle. So like one lunation, there's going to be, the next time you reach that lunation, this horse energy where you're fully setting that intention to surrender to spirit. And I would recommend, if you can control this, it would be preferable that you're doing it at a new moon, because you are going with the natural rhythms of the lunations, where we are setting intentions and surrendering to spirit at the new moon, at the dark moon phase. So with perfect storm, the courage to step into life, this is saying that this time period and this nourishment that you're creating within yourself is going to allow you to have this perfect storm where you feel like nothing's happening, but it's actually encouraging you, because I usually associate the horse with courage and ambition. So this is like emphasizing that, since it's left off of this card, to show that you're sweeping into this energy of maybe the raven, where you have and you're finding this courage to step into your life by cultivating hope. Some of you may have been so ungrounded that you were feeling a little hopeless, like what's the point? Because you're not feeling fully connected to this reality and the purpose of being here in this life. This last year of 2025 has been so difficult for so many of us to maintain that hope, because we are constantly being manipulated through online sources in a lot of ways to kind of emphasize and amp up this feeling of hopelessness or bleakness or powerlessness. And so part of the job of the witches, of the light workers, of those of us that are in connection with spirit, that are hedge walking, which I think you very much are, that like task that we've been given right now at this time, that our souls have agreed to, is this ability to create opportunity and recognize opportunity, and to be this like torchbearer almost of hope in our lives, and to like give people remembrance of this abundance, of this ability to connect with these cycles of life through these times that seem like they're dead. And I feel like there's a sense of like reminding and remembering and awakening other souls to the remembrance of these cycles, because if you're young or if you're disconnected from the earth, when that tree in the winter that's not an evergreen releases all its leaves, you may be easily tricked into thinking that that plant has died, but in reality it's just become dormant. And so if we forget these things, it can create a lot of despair and a lot of misinformation that's being shared. So there's something about you being able to correct certain narratives through a deeper connection and rootedness and groundedness. And so it's really important for you to be able to make the space for that, and also recognize that nature is doing the same thing for you, creating this womb space for you to remember this and awaken to this first, so that then you can share it with those around you, and you can be the one who is giving the help and accepting help and deferring authority, like passing this authority on to others. And with the spider creative projects, it's like this time of going within is going to help you to learn how to weave that web. And again, I just feel like the presence of the Divine Mother is so strong in this group. So definitely keep calling on the Divine Mother. They're literally even like creating a womb around this person in the center with the trees. So definitely this is a time of allowing yourself to be held, of allowing yourself to, recognize these opportunities, to have the faith that you are being called into an area in your life, and that you have purpose that you need to fulfill in this realm, and that the earth is grateful for your energy, and the earth mother herself is, designating you as one of her children right now who has been blessed with the capacity to see through into the many realms of her being, and you can translate and bridge these gaps between these different dimensions of reality like the spider, so that you can bring her children in closer communion with each other, and through your creativity, through your hope, through your courage to step into your life, through accepting help, through embracing opportunities. So this is such a beautiful and positive message for you, group 2. I'm so grateful and so thankful to the Divine Mother and to all of these teachers who have walked before us on this shamanic pathway, who have kept and maintained and preserved these beautiful traditions that help us to remember, how to cultivate soma in our lives, how to hydrate our bodies, how to hydrate our spirits, and how to sustain and nourish these seeds that we are trying to plant in ourselves and in the world. Amen. Thank you. Om. However you want to crown that ashe. So, because that was a beautiful message that came straight from the Divine Mother, I feel. So your final card here is the snake, which says transformation and change. And so this is definitely a final affirmation for you from the Divine Mother, who definitely came through in your reading. Devi Ma, Pachamama, Spider Woman, Copper Woman, whoever you want to call her, Hecate, Aset, Yamaya. There's so many names. Goddess of 10,000 names, the Earth Mother, Gaia. She's come through for you today saying, look, my power, my wisdom, my awakening, my awareness, my perspective can elevate you and bring you into the cosmic realities, but also can root you down into the roots of the earth, the world tree, and the deep bedrock of the earth. And she says, let me pull you down into my womb now. I've elevated you, and it's time to pull you down into the roots so that you can actually begin to embody this change, embrace this change, and allow me to help you. So that is the number one thing, if you're going to take anything away from this reading, group 2, that it is time to ask and accept the Divine Mother for help so that you can step into what you've been wanting to create in this realm, and be confident and assured in your next steps forward when you are called to take these steps. Because the spider, even though it seems like they just know what to do, they are very much being calculated and weaving this web. Even the caterpillar, they go through this transformation and this change, but it's a very specific and processed thing where they go into this goop form. And so right now it's time for you to go into the goop form, hydrate yourself, hydrate your spirit, and you will know when it's time to step forward and shed that old skin. So that is all I'm seeing for you, my beautiful group 2. Thank you so very much for being here and doing this work on behalf of the collective. I'm so honored and so grateful to be facilitating this energy and this transmission from spirit for you. If you are interested in a personal reading, or just in checking out any of my work in general, or connecting with me on Instagram, I would love to have you over there. My information will be down in the description box below. Otherwise, I am so grateful to have had you here today. I am sending you lots of love, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, group 2. Bye! Greetings, group 3. If you selected this third group with the Kambaba Jasper, then this is your reading. So, already, right away, I feel like if you are watching this in a timely manner, 2025 has been a year of you assessing your patterns and kind of going through maybe a lot of changes in your romantic life or just in your relationships in general. So it feels like there is a lot of tiredness on a soul level, and that's what this time of turning within is all about for you, group 3. You have the catacomb here at the center of your reading, and this has Chiron on it. So there's definitely a time of deep inner healing, of recognizing your wounds, recognizing what has made you feel wounded, but also recognizing how that gives you the power to heal. And so this feels like I'm not using this deck today, but the Isis Oracle by Alana Fairchild has a card in it called the Dark Healing Chamber, and I'm just seeing that card in my mind's eye right now with this catacomb. And so this catacomb feels like a dark healing chamber, but also a place for you to turn within and to recognize where your spirit guides have been reaching out to you, where your ancestors have been trying to show you certain patterns that you may have been repeating in your life that they would like you to release yourself from the bonds of and to free yourself from. It feels like with the Three of Arrows, jealousy, and the Two of Stones, challenge, that you've been meeting mirrors of yourself in the world, and you may have quite a few relationships in the past that you might call failed relationships, but your spirit guides are saying that they want you to maybe look at this through a new lens and start to see through this time period of slowing down places where this has actually been representations of stagnation, of limiting beliefs, of karmic cycles, generational karmic cycles, where you are meant to step into the role of cycle breaker. And yeah, it just feels like there is a lot of time that is needing to be spent on going and assessing and feeling these feelings and recognizing what feelings are yours and what feelings have been passed down to you or maybe even conditioned into you. Maybe you were in relationships where you were feeling really jealous of other people. Maybe this is like you going on social media and really comparing yourself to other people, or being put in positions where maybe you were with partners who compared you a lot to people that they had been with, or an ideal person that they wanted you to be, or traits that they wanted you to have. Or maybe you caught, a partner stepping out of the relationship and being unfaithful, and so it made you feel like you had to be jealous or you had to compare yourself, and it triggered those wounds of insecurity, and it's time to let those go. Group 3, if that was resonating for you, I totally understand. I've been there before. It is so hard sometimes to be able to let some of that go and to let the comparison leave and to just validate yourself and recognize that you're good enough, and that those people that didn't see your value were projecting their own limitations, their own insecurities onto you, and that was never yours to begin with. If this was family members that made you feel like you had to compare yourself from a young age because maybe they compared you or they compared themselves a lot, these are inherited feelings. These are not feelings that originate from within you, is the point that I feel like your spirit guides are really wanting to bring forward to you. And I do feel like there are a lot of angels around you at this time as well, I want to mention. So they're wanting you to recognize and give yourself the time and space to spend this time recognizing what your real feelings are, even like just observing what triggers come up when you are around people that you care about, and that are caring about you. For some of you, this time period over the solstice and over the winter months is actually going to get you to sit down and assess like what family members you actually resonate with, and things like this, like where you're actually going to start making amends with like the inner child of you who may feel like you're carrying around baggage from family members, or there's like past resentments that you're holding on to, or just wounds of the inner child. And for others of you, if it's not that far back, this can be like wounds of your young adulthood, wounds of your midlife, wounds of your teen self, like, fill in the blank of the age. There's just going to be time periods where you are going to be revisiting. It almost feels like a Mercury retrograde for you, where you're revisiting these experiences. With the Two of Stones challenge too, again, this just feels to me like a mirror of your own challenges being projected, and also recognizing where other people have been projecting their challenges onto you. And so this is like a distinction or a separation of certain energies, also a maybe even heightening of certain challenges, where you're recognizing your own limiting patterns, limiting beliefs, karmic cycles, karmic patterns, inheritance of certain energetic patterns, where you're going to be able to work that out with people and also face certain conflict. So for some of you, if you have been very conflict avoidant or conflict averse, this is going to be a season of your life where things are going to stop so that you can have the conflict. If we're thinking about like a journey, I'm thinking of Adventure Time right now. So like, Finn and Jake, they're on a journey, they're headed somewhere. I can't tell you how many times in an episode they're saying like, let's go this place. And then they start heading that place and they get stopped by a conflict and they have to pause their travel momentum to fight whatever thing is in their way. And so that's kind of how this feels to me, is that this time of pause and rest and reset is actually time for you to face certain conflict without the pressure of, I have this deadline I have to meet, I have to get to this place. It's like you're actually going to be able to take time, whether this is with other people or just internally, to address conflict in your life, either with yourself or with others. Because you are in this healing chamber, and it does feel like this is guided by specific ancestral spirits. And for some of you, if you are feeling like, like you've been sensing this ancestral spirit around you, you've been noticing that there are certain patterns and synchronicities that represent this maybe like shadow aspect of family in your life, because even this raven is sitting on the skull and there's like the skulls in the catacombs. You might want to do a releasing ritual to help this spirit move on from the physical realm. And so, let's say, for example, I'm just thinking of like, maybe you had like a grandfather or a grandmother who had like really strong anger issues, and you're noticing that you're feeling really angry, but you know that you're not an angry person, and you've only been feeling this like maybe since this person went over to the other side. This may be a symbol or a synchronistic event that would represent that this family member is in your energy. They're trying to heal their own karmic energy, and their soul is still anchored in the earth plane, and they feel like they need to work through this energy through your body because you are the closest thing, and you're the one that's most receptive to this energy and has the ability to even, hear them or recognize that they're reaching out or feel their energy. So you may need to set some certain boundaries with certain spirits around you if you're resonating with that. If not, then that's totally okay. But I just do feel like for some of you, you're taking on spiritual energies from guides that it may not be yours to take. But there is another aspect. If you are feeling open and you are feeling willing and you do resonate with that message of an ancestral spirit, it does not have to just be grandmother, grandfather. It can also be, cousin, brother, sister, mother, whoever, father. Anyway, it can be anybody in your life who has passed on and maybe has unfinished business. If you do want to, and you feel like you have the capacity and the knowledge and the support, I definitely think for all of you, if you resonate with this, go and find some professional support and somebody who can help hold this protective space for you. If you are resonating with this, I think that this message, a good amount of you are going to really benefit from being able to sit down and help the spirit consciously move through this energy and perform some type of ritual to help release their energy from being weighed and anchored and stuck on the earth plane, like tethered to the earth plane, so that they can go and journey and maybe come back as a guide for you in a more elevated form. Because I do feel like there is a sense that some of you do have the capacity to help liberate your family line from some of this through conscious spirit work. If you resonate with that. I just want to put a big if on that, because this is not something that you have to agree to. None of us have to fulfill certain soul contracts. We just have the capacity to fulfill them if that is something that we agree to within our free will in this lifetime. It is not an obligation, though, is what I'm feeling like. For a lot of you, this is not something that you're required to do. If you feel that this is something that your soul cannot move on from without resolving this energy, then please, by all means, fulfill that contract in whatever way you see fit. But there is definitely a sense that you may be able to do this for your family, for yourself, if you feel like this is something that you are also participating in that energy. So going back to that example of the anger issues, if that is something that you do feel like is affecting you, or something that has grown within your life, you can potentially liberate that energetic resonance from the family member and yourself and the family line in general, so that you can heal the wounds that may have been incited through that energetic frequency that's been carried down through your bloodline. So magic, coincidence, synchronistic events, in any case, no matter if you're working with ancestral spirits or spirits on the other side or not, there's a sense that in this time period of slowing down, there is a sense of reconnecting to your magic, to coincidence, to synchronicity, so that you can come into contact with some of these parts of yourself that need to be healed. I definitely recommend for all of you, whether you want to work with a psychic or a spirit worker or medicine woman, medicine man, medicine person in any capacity, I do think that for a lot of you, getting into some type of formal therapy would really help. Just somebody who can help guide your spirit through this healing process, I feel like is going to help it become a lot more intentional and help you understand why you're doing the things that you do on both larger and mundane levels, so that you can be more in touch with making like conscious decision making in your life, and not feel like certain influences are maybe like taking control of your ability to exercise your free will. Again, free will keeps coming up in this group, so there is something about like you finding free will through healing. And finally, this card that I've been meaning to touch on but I haven't been able to, is forgiveness. And I feel like that is representative of your process as well. You're gonna have to get through a lot of this other stuff, which I definitely feel like all of you have some wounds that are coming from ancestral influences, or influences of, energy on the other side. But part of this that is all leading up to facing all this stuff is going to result in forgiveness. And forgiveness is going to be the freeing agent in this energetic equation. So I'm hearing the lava song Forgiveness, where she says, forgiveness, 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 forgiveness. I don't want that rule in my heart. I'm blanking on the lyrics, even though I know all the words to that song. But anyway, I'll link that song down below for you, group 3. But yeah, there's definitely something about forgiveness, releasing yourself from certain old stories. For a lot of you, this definitely has to do with things in the past, revisiting the past, letting it go, maybe walking yourself back through scenarios. For some of you, EMDR therapy is going to be really important to you, because it is like that aspect of reprocessing or reprogramming, allowing yourself to go back into traumatic events, reaffirm to yourself new beliefs that you'd like to cultivate, instead of the beliefs that may be distorted from the traumatic experiences or from the traumatized parts of your psyche. And so, yeah, forgiveness is going to be a huge part. And even with the mushrooms on here, it's like something new growing and creating opportunity from something that feels like it had died. So let's see, you got a ton of oracle cards from the Shaman's Dream Oracle. So let's go into these and see what they have to say. You had 4 of them come out. So, okay, and we're already seeing like a color story emerge on the 2 sides. So it's interesting. On this one side over here, we have Cosmic Womb, the Divine Feminine, with Joyful Muse, Inspiration. So the spiral right away feels like it might be a really important symbol for you. The spiral is typically an important image or symbol for the Yule or solstice, winter solstice season in the Gaelic cosmology, which is my personal like ancestral background. And so that spiral energy, I feel like the goddess spiral might be important for you. That idea of like going around and revisiting things and coming back to the center and realizing that healing is a continual process of reapproaching, revisiting, reigniting, whatever. Like there's just a sense of like reapproaching things for you. And so going into that cosmic womb of the divine feminine and allowing yourself to find more inspiration in that revisiting, in that constant unfoldment of creation, and this like eternal process of healing, how the healing is never completely finished because we're always being exposed to new suffering and new pain in this reality, and that this is something that is not bleak, but it's rather an opportunity for us to constantly figure out how to recreate and discover ourselves through reality, through these like, wings that we grow through these continuous transformations. And so it feels like, 3 and then 6. So it feels like there's something about you maybe even revisiting your own creations, reflecting and admiring your own creations and what you've discovered through what you've created, to be able to recognize that you've been in contact with the divine womb, that you've been connected to the blood of your ancestors for a long time. I just feel like there's something about like reconnecting with your ancestry and creating something new from that connection so that you can heal like the bloodline in some ways with this cosmic womb. And also like maybe even heal your mother line in particular. On the other side over here, so this side's more like light and kind of like the higher chakra colors, like the blue, purple, green. And then on this side, these are like the lower chakra colors, the yellow, the orange, the red. And it says, in the hand, the universe is your partner, and crown games, right use of power. So it feels like there is a sense of like reckoning in the material world for you. What cards are these on top of? The Two of Stones, and forgiveness. So definitely there's a relationship healing happening. And if there is any residual like emotional energy in the body, it feels like this is a really powerful time for you to move and physically channel a lot of that emotional energy. For some of you it's rage, for some of you it's sadness, for some of you it's a mix of all these energies and emotions, for some of you it's resentment, for others of you it's apathy. There's lots of different emotions that are coming through on this side that are trapped in the body and need an outlet, need an expression, and they need you to recognize your own power. And what was the right use of power in these situations where you are harboring these emotional energies from. And so it's like the body, I feel like it's like that book. Who's the author? Bessel van der Kolk. Bessel van der Kolk. Sorry, y'all. I had to go check my bookshelf, but the body keeps the score. There's just this idea that like your body is really like recounting a lot of these experiences that you've had and holding on to the truth of it. And it's like you need to like go back and maybe like talk to these parts of yourself and acknowledge these parts of yourself that were wounded or were subject to injustice or power imbalance, or somebody weaponized their power over you or withheld power from you. And I feel like that's a really common wound for a lot of children, because all of us are essentially oppressed in the way that we raise children in Western societies, where children are kind of seen as like this extension of the parents, or this kind of like you must be obedient or you must be seen and not heard, and like all these different really abusive and horrible what are they called? I want to call them like aphorisms, but I don't think that's right. Because I don't even know what that means. But these like little sayings that like turn into harm. And I've seen that as like a trend, like on TikTok. Well, I don't even have TikTok, but like seeing like TikToks posted other places. But anyway, where, you know, parents will like say these abusive phrases that they used to have said to them, and then the kids, like their kids will repeat or will finish the phrase, and like it shows that, you know, they're breaking like the cycle. So it feels like for a lot of you, like that's what you're going to be doing with your inner child or with your literal children. And this is going to, I love that your centering card is fulfillment, and you have this raven, or these, you know, that represented these like magic and coincidence and synchronistic events, kind of flocking to this like lotus cup, and like recognizing that like your shadow, and being in touch with your shadow, and being in touch with these like these challenges and these wounds within yourself is actually going to open you up to fulfillment and to blossoming and to like having this kind of crown, or, you know, recognizing your own full power. And this is going to like lead you to a deeper fulfillment creatively, it feels like too, and like within your relationships as well. It's going to help you feel sovereign, and like you can make decisions in your relationships rather than having your wounding make decisions in relationships for you. So for a lot of you, I feel like you're freeing yourselves in relationships and recognizing where your wounds were making decisions over your desire for true connection and your desire for experiencing true love in relationships as well. So this is such a beautiful energy, group 3. I'm like so grateful to your guides and to your own like deeper soul self for being receptive and open to this message, because this is not an easy stage to reach in your healing journey, where you're able to recognize and set your ego aside and like really face the shadow and integrate and say, hey, you know, like these are all these limitations that I've had, but that doesn't make me a bad person. You know, maybe I am a bad person on some level, or I've been a bad person on some level, but like who hasn't been? And like recognizing that that doesn't like make you unworthy, you know, like you're separating your worth from these like moralistic judgments that we place on things, but then also at the same time like recognizing the ways that others have intentionally victimized you and being able to forgive them, so you can release yourself from that dynamic of like victim and abuser and things like this. So there's definitely a sense of like fulfillment. I definitely think, again, I'm going to reiterate this message of like reaching out to a professional to have some support, to have some help in like integrating the shadow aspect, and recognizing that a big part of this is going to be seeing your magic. And I just noticed like I've been kind of intertwining my fingers, and I just saw that the crown games person is also intertwining their fingers. Usually my yoga teacher always says that putting your fingers together like this can actually block energy flow in your hands. So maybe I wouldn't recommend doing that in particular, but it does seem like there's a sense of like merging things and like making things make sense and like seeing how things overlap. But yeah, so let's see your final card, which your final card here, again, the raven is coming out. So the raven may be really significant, cats in general, the deer, you know, you've had multiple moth wings come through in this reading as well. There's a dragonfly, and then the owl. But I feel like definitely the raven is important for you, group 3, but you have the animal guardian with trust your instincts. So again, a big part of this message for slowing down and turning within is recognizing that your instincts have been there for you the entire time, and your instincts have been documenting the truth of situations and the emotional resonance of what these situations mean for you on your healing journey, and have been your instincts have been storing these messages and these insights within the body. And so this is a time for you to be able to really do some emotional healing within your physiological and like nervous system type self, so that you can have more balance connections with those around you, and maybe even with the animal guardian here too, and you have the cat and everything. This may be a great time for you to bring a furry friend into your life if you have been feeling like, you know, maybe I'm ready to share my love and go through the like selfless journey of having a pet. That would be maybe a great thing for you to do this season. You know, maybe try and rescue an animal or something like that. or taken an animal who, like maybe you know somebody who can't take care of their pet anymore and you've been debating about whether you are feeling called to accept this. Like I really feel like there's an animal that would really support you in the physical realm. And if you can't support a pet, that's totally understandable, but maybe you've been seeing animal guides out in nature who have really been standing out to you or coming to you over and over to represent a part of your soul or a part of you that wants to be represented in how you've been healing. I've definitely had that happen before. Pay attention in dreams or in your waking life when these animal guardians and spirits come to you, because they definitely have significance for this healing journey for you right now. And that is all I'm seeing for you, my beautiful group 3. Thank you so very much for being with me for this reading today and doing this work on behalf of the collective. This is such a blessing to all of us. So thank you so, so much. And I'm so honored that I was able to channel these messages to you from Spirit. And I'm so humbled in that. If you are interested in checking out my Instagram, following me there, and connecting with me, I would love to have you over there. Or if you are interested in booking a personal reading, I would love to connect with you one-on-one. Otherwise, I am sending you so much love today, my beautiful friend, and I will see you in another reading. Bye.